To our afternoon 5 o'clock special service, our relationship corner. We want to welcome you in a special way. If you are joining us for the very first time, a special welcome to you. We have these sessions every Saturday afternoon. At 5 o'clock, we discuss a number of different topics that relates to relationships or the family or issues around parenting, and those are some of the issues that we discuss around this time. And if you have been a regular in this particular program, we welcome you back, and we want to encourage you to ask your friends to join in, to take them on as we start this particular session. Today's session, we are talking about the impact of social media on relationships and the family. It is something that affects all of us, particularly at this age and time when the social media has become very much a way of life for many of us. And I will start by looking at the benefits that we have from the social media, the benefits that come through to our relationships, that comes through to our families, that came with the social media. First thing the benefit that we're having is reducing the physical distance. Just as I'm speaking to you today, some of you are in your living room, some of you are in your bedroom, some are in the cars, but it makes it possible, instead of a usual afternoon program that you're supposed to be at the church, we have reduced that distance because of the social media. And in the same way, in relationships, you can imagine when couples are far away from each other or they work at different locations, social media makes it easy for them to connect and to engage with one another and to interact with one another through the social media. Social media also helps us to have a better understanding of people that we connect with. They might be friends, there might be potential partners, even spouses, because when you go through someone's profile, you get a snapshot of their personality, their ways of life, and what they like, what they don't like, the social cycles that they find themselves in, their habits, things that they do. You can even find out what they eat on a regular basis, because many people show what they eat, they show the location, they show their travels, and you get to have a better understanding of a person through the social media. Instead of having to interview them, you can actually just go through their social media and find out more about that particular person. It also helps us to stay in touch with one another. You can almost imagine that gone are those days where people used to send a postcard or a letter to inform you how I'm doing, how life is going. Now you can just go to somebody's wall, and whether it's a relative or it's a sibling, and you can find out what they're up to, what the activities they've been going on, and what they've eaten last night, whom they were with, and the things that they are doing. It helps us to stay in touch with one another. Then there is also a feature of memories. Social media keeps our memories, the things that we have done together, and on that particular day, social media will remind you that these are the things that you did together on that particular day. I just shared something this morning of a camp meeting that we had about 9 years ago, and those memories came about. And the same applies, it can be in a family, in a relationship. The social media keeps our memories, keeps our pictures. Sometimes we lose them in our computers, we lose them in our phones, but the social media is there to keep our memories. It also helps with the idea of bonding, as we share what we like and what we don't like. People can align their lives with those habits and interests, and communicate. Better communication that we have in as a family. Many of us have got a little WhatsApp group with families, or immediate family, or extended families, or cousins, or uncles, and whatever. And all of those things are benefits that the social media has brought, that helps us to keep in touch, to stay in touch, to stay close to one another over time. As we look into those benefits, as we said, increase interactions with one another, more available, shared, tailored information, find out more about your peers. We can connect socially and emotionally through the social media. And you can also get important informations about health information, about disaster, about important news. Now we're going through this COVID-19. A lot of information that we've learned about COVID-19 came through social media, as we get informed, as we get to know warnings and so on and so forth. Social media has become a key in terms of our lives, and you realize whether you are in business or you are in a ministry, it has become critical to have a presence in the social media, because social media, it's where people are. And even though, and you can redirect them from there to your websites or other information. Now, another positive that we find from the social media has become one of the biggest places for people to meet their potential spouses. It is said that in the US, 1/3 of all marriages comes through social media and dating websites. So social media has become key in the idea of finding partners and finding marriage. And the stats that we saw from the US has actually said that even those marriages are lasting longer than some of those that meet in the office space. And in my premarital counseling sessions, I've met a number of couples who got married through their interactions in the social media, and they got connected through that and ended up getting married. So some people are even use the social media to create guidelines to say these are deal breakers. I would like to have somebody who has got this and this, and if you don't have this or that and so on, there's a deal breaker. So social media has become key in terms of relationships, meeting potential spouses, and eventually getting married. Now, let's look at some of the challenges of the negative impact that comes from the social media. Number one, comparing your life with that is found in the social media, particularly comparing your relationship to those that are found in the social media. When you spend a lot of time looking at the rosy images of couples in Instagram or scrolling through smiley photos in Facebook, many of them, they're not as beautiful as they look, because they've got filters and other things that makes them to look amazing. And because of all of those things, your view of what is normal relationship becomes distorted. Because our online snapshots show the idyllic moments in our relationship or in our marriage, eventually leading to a bit of dissatisfaction as you try to look at your own relationship and how it measures up to what has been presented out there. And there are often these challenges where people are coming on as couples, or they're showing off their partners, and as they challenge each other, they show their very best photos and their very best moments. And therefore it is easy to put in comparison within what you have and what is out there, what has been shown, what has been displayed, their fancy vacation and the places they've been and the things that they are doing. Eventually you start hearing a whispering voice saying that maybe your own relationship or maybe your own marriage is inadequate. It is not, because it's not good enough as compared to what you have seen. And all of those things start to foster deep disappointment inside your heart, to start feeling like, no, I don't have it all. Even though you thought you were satisfied, you thought your relationship was going well, eventually what you've seen and what you experience from what you see in the social media, you end up setting unrealistic standards for your marriage. Standards that cannot be reached because they are set on the highest level, on the few 5% moments of those couples. Because no one is showing you them crying. They're not showing you arguing, showing you the struggles that they have got to go through, showing you how they've been cheated on and how things are going wrong in their relationship. They're showing you the very best moment. And even some of those moments are not really that great. It's just that for the moment of posing, people smiled. And as they smiled, it looks like things are going well. And all of these things lead to disappointment and discouragement leading to conflict, fear, and those unrealistic expectations. Because you start asking yourself, why can't my partner be like the posts? Why can't our relationship be like the ones that we've seen in the social media? Eventually leading to an overall discontent with your own relationship. Whereas you have woken up and you have been satisfied, you have been happy, you thought life was happening in your relationship, then you wake up to a realization because social media has told you that you are not happening. Actually, you are dull, you are boring, your life has no excitement, and therefore, you know what? Do something about it, and eventually leading to despair and sometimes breaking down of the relationship. Another challenge that we have from the social media is too much time that is spent on the social media. So it's not just what the person is doing in the social media that is a problem. What is a problem is that there is a lot of time that is spent, and this is what creates conflict. Excessive time is spent on the social media, and that has a negative impact in the romantic relationship. Studies have found that the link between social media and decreased marriage quality in every level. Where there is an increase in the time spent in the social media, there is also seen as a decrease in the quality of the relationship. By and large, social media serves as a distraction from focusing onto those interactions that nurture and build your relationship. Social media sucks away your time. It has been said that social media has been identified with behaviors that are compulsive, making it very difficult to manage the time that you spend in the social media. It almost sucks your time, and you find that even people will be driving, but they don't want to miss out on what is happening in the social media. They want to catch up on what is in the social media driving, whether they are in a queue somewhere, wherever they are at the workplace. Every second you keep on, checking out on what is happening. Particularly, there's a little beep. Somebody had tagged you on this or somebody responding on that, and you end up being part of that. In fact, one study in America has found that among college students, they said abstaining from the social media had the same effect as withdrawal from drug and alcohol. Those who abstained from social media ended up feeling cravings, anxiety, and jittery feelings just because they've been out of the social media. And that's some of the impact that it has on our relationships. It's a great distraction, and it sucks a lot of time. Many couples have complained, or partners in marriage have complained to me. Even as early as yesterday, I received a message from one saying to me, my husband spends a whole lot of time on the social media. It doesn't matter where we are, in the living room, in the bedroom, he's always glued to the phone. And the question was, what must I do? Because our time together has been absorbed, has been taken away by the social media. And when I talk about infidelity, I say there are 4 types of infidelity, and one of them is object affair, having an object affair. It's when you retract, not spend time, move away from the relationship to spend time on an object. Whatever it is that seems to have a priority over your spouse, you are having an affair with. So social media, it's a side dish for many people who spend lots of their time in the social media instead of spending time with their partners and building up their own marriages. Social media is also a place where are revived. And the very nature of social media, it will ask you, where did you study? Where did you go for high school? Where did you go for university? Where did you grow up? And when you set up those things, the algorithm behind social media is to suggest friends who either went to the same school with you, who grew up in your same area, went to the university with you, and by so doing, along that path, or people that you worship in the same denomination or so on, all of those things, that's what the algorithm uses to suggest friends to you. And boom, there it is. It suggested to you one of your old fires. 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, you have not seen each other. Now you've moved into different directions, and there your life, maybe you're leading to midlife crisis. Life is not happening as you planned to be, or you've overachieved beyond your imagination, and you're bored with life because you've either achieved or you have failed to achieve. And then suggestion comes up. Where have you been? What are you doing with your life? And in so doing, this whole idea creates this attachment and revival of things that could have been died. So social media is probably the scariest scandal that has ever happened to marriage, because by the idea of suggesting friends and building friends and making it easy to connect with friends, it makes it easy for the people to reconnect with their old fires, or just to reconnect with people whom they were with at school. Maybe at that time you thought he was not your type or she was not your type, and suddenly your types have been changed or been updated. You seem to be in the same type. So social media is probably, as I said, one of the saddest reality is that it gives a platform to unfaithful people it gives them the opportunity to reach out and to flirt. Flirting has been made easy in social media. It's easy to just start by, when the post or the picture has been said, you respond with a heart, with how you love that, or you say something in response. You look gorgeous, you look handsome, you have not changed, you are still beautiful as ever. Little messages that leads to flirting has been made easier by the social media, and from there people can move on to their inboxes or direct messages as they see appreciation of their public comments, appreciation of their public affirmation of each other. And that happens quite often. So because of that, social media has become quite a bit of a challenge. And you see, before the social media, it was easy to notice a change in behavior. Because when you needed to start having an affair, you probably started by spending more time away from home or doing this or that, or, but because people today spend all their time hooked on their phones, you don't know what they're doing, whether they are searching on the weather or researching on COVID-19, or they are checking on the CNN, or they're checking on the humor from their friends, or they're busy flirting with others. You never get to know, but you see people with their phones, which is acceptable in our country, in our life today, and that's why it has made it much more easy, and not as before, because you could see a change of behavior. But now the phone can be used for all kinds of things. Also, social media leads to suspicion and snooping on your partner and issues of jealousy. Social media provided an easy access to issues of jealousy and suspicion, because one can go into the social media and find all the interactions that their partner is having. And if they find something that is suspicious, they will dig even more. Who is this person? Where does the person come from? Why does he always like your pictures? Why does she always comment with her heart or with whatever? And all of those things has led to issues of jealousy. And all of these things leads to increased monitoring, jealousy, and conflict in the relationship. Researchers have found that whenever you spend more time investigating on what your partner's behavior has been in the social media, if you spend more time doing that, there is an increased reports of jealousy and mistrust. Because things that are maybe meaningless, whether you said you showed a like or you showed a love to a picture or whatever, it might be meaningless, but to the people who are searching and researching and looking for reasons that you might be having an affair, those things become concrete reasons or a basis for mistrust and jealousy. In fact, one research which was done also in the US has said the high usage of Facebook was also a big trigger to jealousy. And so that's why most of the times when you see people with a picture, people will then research, why is this person with you on the picture? Who is this person? Where do you know this person from? And research on that. So the highest usage of Facebook and social media in general has been a trigger for many jealousy in the relationship. Let's talk now about social media and infidelity. Unfortunately, the suspicions around your partner's social media and interactions are often warranted, because it is said in one research, 1 in 10 adults admits to hiding messages or posts to their significant other. 1 in 10, and I would like to believe it's probably more than 10% of people who are hiding their messages or posts from their significant other, whether it's a boyfriend or girlfriend or even a spouse. And also 8% of adults have admitted to having secret accounts that their partners do not know about. So about 8%, and I would like to believe it's even higher than 8% of adults. Those are the ones who have admitted, some might not have admitted, of having secret accounts that are not known, because they want to have another life that their spouse do not know about, another interactions with the people that their spouse is not aware of. And so a number of people have indeed been having secret accounts. And as we might have heard, in 1 in 3 divorces starts with an online affair. So 1 in 3 divorces now starts with an online affair. So in fact, the whole issue of infidelity is now directly connected with the issues that are happening in online in the relationship. With WhatsApp and social media, it is much more easier for a dissatisfied spouse to look for a new relationship. Whenever they're dissatisfied, there is a whole lot of people who are online that they can start hitting on and start engaging with, get connected with an ex or seek a new fling online. And it is interesting. One research also shows that 30% of people who are in the dating websites are already married. So 30% of people who are presenting themselves on a dating website as single, actually they are married. So that's some of the issues that we are finding in the social media and the issues of dishonesty that happens there. Now, let's consider some of the dangers that are out there of the social media. Too much time, we've already said, is spent connecting on the social media. And one of the statements that I quote myself, so from time to time I try to quote myself just to pat myself on the back. And one of the statements that I quote myself is this. I think it might be in one of my books. And it says, we are connecting with the world while we are disconnecting with one another. We are connecting with the world while we are disconnecting with one another. The reality of our time today is that as we spend a lot of time in the social media, I can be sitting here connecting with the friends in the United States, in the UK, and all over the world, and they can be bombarding me with humor and stories of interest, and there I am giggling to the phone, smiling and being very good and enjoying my moment on the phone. But as soon as I lift my head up to talk to the one who is next to me, then I'm frowning and angry. So we are connecting with the rest of the world, sharing and having the links with them, but we don't even have a time to speak to one another. We don't have a time to connect with one another. So we're connecting with the world while disconnecting. That's one of the issues that we are finding from the social media. Another thing that research has told us is that oversharing on a social media diminishes intimacy. Before the social media, events that used to happen between a man and a woman or a boyfriend and a girlfriend were intimate. They were private moments. Whether you are in the park, whether you are in a restaurant, they were private moments. Whether you are hugging or kissing or whatever, all of those were private and sacred moments. But suddenly, boom, come the social media. All of those things have now to be announced to the world. We need to announce that we are at this fancy restaurant in Sandton. We are at this place. We are having this boat trip where we are in Cape Town on our second honeymoon. We are whatever. The sacredness of the relationship that we had before, the intimacy which was private to us, has become a public event. And when we overshare, our real intimacy diminishes because everything is almost staged. It is done. We go to places to take pictures so that we can be seen. And so we dress up to take pictures. We put makeup and do whatever to take pictures for the social media, because social media has become like a religion. It has become a place that we exist, a place where our life belongs. And again, we have touched on this. The battle for time, because of the social media, has become even bigger. As we said, social media sucks up time. And we are told that an average person spends 3 hours a day on his or her mobile. That's 3 hours that is sucked up by the social media. 3 hours that is sucked up from a relationship, that is sucked up from connecting either with the children, connecting with your partner, connecting with your parents. All of those times for interaction, for normal relationship, is being stolen with strangers that we are connecting, that we are indeed trying to please and trying to make happy. Now, another challenge, another dangers that we find from social media is that true validation is now misunderstood. We have become a generation where our affirmation has become online. People worry more about how many likes they're going to have in their comment or in their picture, in what they've said, how many shares are going to be. That has become subconsciously our affirmation. Instead of real affirmation by the interaction between human beings, real affirmation in terms of doing things for someone and the person says thank you and appreciating you, all of those true validation have escaped us. It seems like our brain chemicals have now changed from real actions to become online actions, online activity. They've become internet or social media based, and therefore even how happy we are with our marriage, it seems not to be defined by the moments that we have together, but when we take a picture and people says, what a lovely couple, oh, he's so loving, oh, she's so loving, that has become our affirmation.
Yeah.
Our real affirmation has become from online, from the real business. So we almost seem like a people who serve social media. The social media has become our God, has become one where when nobody likes whatever we've put in, we become depressed. When nobody shares, when nobody affirms, nobody comments on what we say, even on intimate things about our relationships, those are the things that determines we're going to be happy or we're going to be sad, and instead of real affirmation in the relationship. Eroded. Because we spend too much time with our keyboard or with our fingers on the computer or on the phone, we have become antisocial beings.
Yeah.
We seem to think we know how to interact with one another just because we know how to respond to a comment, or we know how to show a like, or we know the right emojis for the right occasions that must fit into whatever the person has done, and we think we know interpersonal skills. But the real interpersonal skills, which is required for real relationships, for real interactions with other people, have become strange. And you have seen many people who seems to be more powerful and more alive behind their screen more than they are in real life.
Sure.
People who are more confident with their fingers on the keyboard more than they are confident in real lives. And when you meet them in real life, you think it's not the same person who has been sharing jokes, entertaining, and being very, very exciting person, because they have never learned the real interpersonal skills. And social media has also become responsible for many mental health issues. It has been said Facebook, Instagram has contributed a sizable percentage to the issues, particularly among young people, to the issues of mental health, issues of low self-esteem, issues of lack of confidence, social skills, isolation. All of these issues have been come as a result of social media. So if I say something and nobody responds, nobody's interested, nobody likes, nobody shares, I start having a low self-esteem. If I never have those fancy, exciting outings or restaurant trips or whatever, my life is not non-existent. So many young people are ending up stressed and depressed as a result of the social media, because of what the social media has done to them and in their relationship with others. Now, let's talk about social media and issues of divorce. Now, in the USA Today, ABC News reported that 3 years before, 20% of divorces had the word Facebook in it. And they said by now, 33% of all divorces has the word Facebook.
Sure.
So, in reality, many of the failures in the relationship can be directly related to our social media. In this case, they singled out only one, which is Facebook. That 33%, it's mentioned in 33%, whether it is what you were doing with the friends or the flirting that was happening and so on, had to do with Facebook. And this is in the USA. In the UK, an attorney, Howard Aiken, he says 30 to 40% of divorces in the UK had some sort of Facebook involvement. And another law firm in the UK also said about 30% of divorces had to do with Facebook in particular. How the people and Facebook, or their involvement in Facebook, was mentioned in the court proceedings in the divorce case. Let's come to South Africa. In South Africa, Maurice Phillips, a divorce lawyer in Cape Town, he says Facebook has been cited in 1 out of 5 divorce petitions. That means in South Africa, 30% of divorce petitions mention Facebook. The US says 30%, the UK says 30 to 40%. In South Africa, at least 20% of divorces had the mention of the ways Facebook. So from this, we are realizing that the impact of the social media is big in the separation and in the ending of marriages. So as we conclude, let's look at the guidelines on the use of the social media. There is a need for us, whether you are as a married couple or as a family, we need to set up our own guidelines and limit the use of social media, particularly in our homes. There is a need for us to manage the consumption of social media in our homes. The other day, and I really like this particular thing because there was a young lady, it's a white young lady I was working with. I was doing some stuff, sending to her, and she'll work on it and send it back to me. And we were doing this backward and forward. It was a day on which was on a holiday. And then I sent something. She was not responding. I even called. She was not responding. We were using the social media to send this thing backward and forward. And she was not responding. And 2 hours later, she said to me, the period between 12 and 2 o'clock, it's our family time. At this time, we have agreed that there is no use of phones or social media. Unless there's an emergency, we put our phones far away and we spend time together. We eat, we socialize, we spend time together as a family, and that's what we do to bind our family together. And I believe, and I thought that was a beautiful thing, that there is a need for us in our families to manage the consumption of social media. There has to be a time, whether you can say from 6 to 8, it's a holy time, it's a family time where television is off, radio is off, social media is off, and the family spends time interacting, eating together, doing things together, doing things that binds them together. In fact, I always say to couples, there is a need for you as a couple, forget about the rest of the family, that you need to spend at least an hour a day with the phone off, with the television off, with all the other interaction and disturbance off. Connecting. How was your day? What are your challenges that you have? What are your dreams and aspirations? What are your plans for tomorrow? What do you want to do? How can I help you? Connecting. Because if you don't do that, you will end up connecting with colleagues and friends and other people and disconnect. Your central place of connection will be disintegrate because you're connecting with all others. So there's a need that we manage our time accordingly and limit the use of social media. Particularly for couples, we must make sure that particularly the bedroom must be a holy place where social media does not go in there. It's a holy place, it's a sacred place, it's a place for the two people to be intimate. Why allow strangers and other people to interact and to send you stories and images and all of those things? Make that a holy place, that whatever interactions you can do before you do that, and even that it must be managed in terms of the guidelines of the family, and have time to connect together. There is a need also in our consumption for social media among couples to implement a policy of openness and transparency. That means I have access to your phone, you have got access to my phone, you are transparent with my account on the social media, and so on and so on. Even though we have said the idea of searching or looking at the person's material in searching for a reason that they're suspecting them, it's not helpful. Actually, it's counterproductive. But the issue of openness is what is key. We know that the Bible promotes openness. In fact, the only verse in the Bible that describes marriage before the fall, it is Genesis 2:25. We know that Genesis 2:18, the Bible says it's not good for a man to be alone. I'll create for him a helper comparable to him. And eventually God create Eve for Adam. And in verse 23, Adam wakes up from the sleep and he says, this is the bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh. In verse 24, God declares them husband and wife. He says, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And then verse 25, that's the last verse in Genesis 2. And Genesis 3, that's the fall of man. So there's only one verse that describes marriage before the fall. It's Genesis 2:25. And Genesis 2:25 says, they were both naked, husband and wife, and not ashamed. The goal of marriage is to get to Genesis 2:25, where you are naked, not just physically, but emotionally, social mediacally, financially, open and not ashamed. Many, if they have to open their accounts, they'll be ashamed. The goal of marriage is to be naked and not be ashamed, so that your consumption of social media is not detrimental to your relationship such that you will be ashamed. But you can see while you interact with people, it's something that will not make you ashamed. That's the goal of marriage. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Until next time, around the same time, every Saturday at 17 hours, we have this session, and invite others. And if you join us today, share with your friends. Take them to receive a message that can help and strengthen their relationship and their marriage. Amen. Amen.
That was Mashudu Ravhengani, proudly brought to you by Living Power Ministries. You can find us at livingpower.org.za or on WhatsApp at +27 78 215 5737. Living Power, empowering mankind to unleash its full potential.